swag out there and bow.
What's going to advise websites out here? The man, the voice, the fragrance. Here with a guest I've been looking forward to talking to because if you have listened to the Sartorial Geek podcast, I'm an avid Trekkie. I've been a Trekkie since yay high, and I am always excited to talk to other Trekkies. And this lovely young lady here, someone who I found on TikTok and actually loved her comment. And we are joined today by Navya. She is one third of the Sci-Fi Queens podcast and also has her own blog, Talking Trek, a Star Trek blog. Navya, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Look, I don't get to talk Trek, especially deeply, too
Uh-huh.
too often. So
Okay.
I am excited. Let me first off ask you, what made you fall in love with Star Trek?
So I was a huge Reading Rainbow fan growing up, and one day I was just flipping through a channel and I was like, LeVar? Like LeVar's on this show with like weird glasses. I have to check this out. And that's how I got into it. And then watching the show, it was unlike any other TV show that was on TV that I could watch. My parents are both immigrants to this country, so we weren't allowed to watch a lot of live action TV, and Star Trek was the only one I could really watch. So
Right.
that's really how I got into it. And my parents were okay with it because it was like science based, and they're like, "That's fine. There's nothing weird going on there." They didn't know about DS9 and the Ferengis,
Right.
but yeah, they don't need to know about that.
That's awesome. I always wonder because we always have that gateway show or that
Hmm.
gateway person. In my case, it was my mom in the original series.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
she got me watching it from there because my mom's always been a
Hmm.
big sci-fi head and then Star Trek, and I watched the original, and then when Next Gen came on, it was
Uh-huh.
my Star Trek. I was
Yeah.
what came out, what, 87, so I was
Hmm.
9. So that was my Star Trek. Like
Yeah.
I got to grow up with it, and then from there, Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
Hmm.
So it's been an amazing ride. And then
Yeah.
the past few years, really, we've we've been eating good as Trekkies.
Oh my
We've
gosh,
had
yes.
some good entrees over the past couple years, but it's like the
Hmm.
last 2 years, it's just been a
So
feeding
lucky.
buffet. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I mean, between and not just outside of season 2 of Picard.
Hmm.
I'll get into questions about
Uh-huh.
that, but I mean, we've gotten Strange New Worlds. I mean, Prodigy, Lower
Hmm.
Decks,
Hmm.
Discovery has gotten really good in my opinion.
Yes.
I've
Agreed.
hopped onto some of the later episodes because I really didn't get into it at first, and then
Hmm.
obviously we just finished off with Picard season 3, which just
Yeah. So good.
it was so awesome. Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
Oh
I
man, it just
yeah.
go ahead. It was
If
so good.
if Next Gen was your first Trek, it must have been amazing to see Picard season 3 and be like reminded of your childhood and when you
Yes.
first saw Next Gen.
Yes, it was very much like that. But with Star Trek, and this is one of the things with the first two seasons of Picard, it
Hmm.
was all about story, and
Yeah.
the stories just really didn't make sense to me. I understood
Hmm.
a lot of the callbacks,
Yeah.
but it's just when everything sort of wrapped up, it was like, that was dumb. Why did that happen? It just the writers just didn't make good stories in my opinion. And because even season 1, it was a lot of good things there with
Yeah.
the Synthoids and the even Data, and
Hmm.
I didn't like the whole Golem thing with Picard. I
Hmm.
just but I again, Picard season 3 retcons so much to make it make
Yeah.
sense.
Yes. The thing about season 1 and 2 of Picard, and a creator on TikTok, I think Vanished Coffee, actually talked about it, and she
Mhm.
recommended binge watching it in like 2 days. And she's like, "I promise you'll like it if you binge watched it." And I actually ended up doing that, and I loved the
Hmm.
first 2 seasons so much more after I binge watched it. I think those 2 seasons, if they were a movie, like if there's like movie 1 and movie 2, it would have been so good. It's so perfect. I think
Hmm.
as a TV show, it was kind of just like there was a lot going on, and week to week it was kind of hard to keep up with.
That makes sense when you put it there,
Mhm.
because I can just think in my head and just kind of rewatching briefly
Yeah.
both seasons in my head. I can see if I binge watched them instead of
Hmm.
waiting week to week,
Yep.
the disappointment probably wouldn't have been as high, and it
Hmm.
would be been less critical overall.
Hmm.
However, contrast season 3, I felt like I watched the movie every week.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Every
Every
week.
every episode was just jam packed with just so much stuff, and you're just like your mind was blown after end of that episode every week.
And the drama and the tension with
Yeah.
everything. Okay, and I'll tell you this, when Laren showed up, I am
Oh
glad I
my
wasn't
God.
eating. I am glad I wasn't eating.
Uh
I
huh.
I I know I yelled, and I'm surprised I didn't scare
Yeah.
people in my house because I was like,
Yeah.
like talk about curveball that you never saw coming. I was
Right.
like, oh. And then just the way the story unfolded,
Hmm.
I was like, I am. They really did the damn thing.
Yeah. So the role Laren reveal, it was actually spoiled for me on the internet, like, because I made the dumb mistake
Ah,
of scrolling through. But when I saw her, I was just like, is this not really? And I didn't dig too much into it. But still, like, even though it was spoiled for me seeing her on screen, I was also like, oh my God, what is she gonna do?
right, right. Because I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, she joined the Maquis. How is she
Yeah.
back in Starfleet? I was so confused of
Yeah.
when she showed up. I'm like, but it was perfect. It
It
was just
was.
it was a perfect callback. This season 3 was just like it was such a great swan song for
Hmm.
next gen. But again, setting up what could be with Star Trek Legacy, it was a
Yeah.
perfect springboard to continue. In this case, instead of what we've been in the 24th century, and next gen we're now in the 25th century,
I'm
technically.
guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's like what 30 years. So we're in the 25th
Hmm.
century, if I remember correctly. Perfect springboard
Yes.
to a new series.
Hmm.
And it's just I really think if they do a legacy series, it could really be more of an anthology series, and you don't have to focus on just Seven as the
Yeah.
Enterprise. F was it
Uh huh.
G? Yes,
Gee, I
F was
was
the
like,
story with
there's
Sheldon.
so many now. There's
Yes,
so many now.
I really there's so much there they can work with, and so many characters
Yeah.
they could bring back in. We can see
Mm-hmm.
what's. I mean, even though we know what's going on with Janeway from Prodigy, still would be good to see
Yeah.
her in live action form again.
Absolutely.
So many, let's go back to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Legacy could really live up to its name and to really
Absolutely.
revisit a lot of the legacy from that era of Star Trek. And one of the
Yeah.
things, even talking about going forward in the future, one of the things I like about Discovery is
Mm-hmm.
that now that it's in the future, it's making its own identity. And that was one of the things I
Yeah.
really didn't like before it being a prequel.
Yeah.
There was no identity there for the show. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
mismatched. Like it didn't really fit to everything else. But then we had Strange
Yeah.
New Worlds, which is a prequel, but it fits. Like you
Yeah.
could see this fitting before for TOS.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Strange New Worlds is just very traditional. It's following the traditional playbook of Star Trek.
Right.
So that's why it fits in. And that's a show. I love that show. But like it's very like it's very Trek and very predictable. That's kind of why I appreciate about Discovery. Like it's very you don't know which way Discovery is going. It's
Right.
like you're
Exactly.
just like shocked every episode. With Strange New Worlds, you're like, okay, yep, I see this coming, but never with Discovery.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like about it. Strange New Worlds. Like
Yeah.
right now, I think someone asked me like if I had a series that I would recommend somebody who's never watched Star Trek before to watch, it would be Strange New Worlds.
Yes,
Easy,
100%.
hands down,
Yeah.
because it's so accessible. The
Mm-hmm.
characters, you understand all of the quote unquote archetypes.
Yeah.
You also get an insight into what's to come. But
Mm-hmm.
I really love the writing for Strange New Worlds because
Yeah.
yes, it was episodic, but you still had those connective threads that went through all
Mm-hmm.
of the episodes. So it wasn't serialized, but you still had callbacks to
Yeah.
previous episodes. And I think that's a hard line to balance
It
from what
is.
I've seen watching TV over my life. That's a
Yeah.
hard line to balance. And the fact that they did it so well, I was just really impressed
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah, and you make a good point. That is a very accessible Star Trek. Like, if we looked at the original five, I don't think I could really recommend any of those for like a newbie. Like, you really have
Right.
to be a sci-fi person to get into those. But with Strange New Worlds, it's the perfect entry. Like, it's easy to follow. It's very intriguing, and all these there's not you could get through that without like missing too much of like the backstory of Star Trek or like any of that stuff. It's just much easier to get into.
exactly. Yeah. Now I have a question for you. What's your favorite Star Trek movie?
What's my favorite Star Trek movie? I think it's First Contact. I love First
Okay.
Contact. What about you?
I would say First Contact. I
Uh-huh.
I I always have to go back to Wrath of Khan.
Oh yeah,
There
that's
is
yeah.
it is it's not even so much like I think First Contact is just it's next gen. It's
It is.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
But Wrath of Khan, it's also in how it was made. And I think I rewatched
Mhm.
it again maybe a couple months ago. And I never
Mhm.
realized, wait a minute, Kirk and Khan literally are never on screen. They're literally
Oh my
against
god.
each other via like
Yeah.
the telescreen. Like as a kid
You're
and even all
right.
the going like I never realized I'm like the fact that the way they were acting, the emotion, the drama, I was like, and just the pacing of the movie, it
Mhm.
seems so much longer than what it is because of the angst and the suspense of
Mhm.
how everything is. But the movie's like 90 minutes. It seems like
Yeah.
it's 2 hours. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is just it's just such well made movie. And you
Mhm.
think they made that off of the first Star Trek, which I have to rewatch again. A lot of, that's just different. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way. The
Yeah.
first Star Trek movie is just it's just different. Um,
Which one was the one Shatner directed? I recently learned he directed one of those and I was shocked.
he
It was a
directed
rap, right?
five, I believe.
Okay, 5. Okay.
Yeah, because let's see. Nicholas Myers did two, then Nimoy did three.
Mhm.
Did Shatner do four? No, Shatner did five.
Okay.
Shatner definitely did five. I forget who did four. But yeah, Shatner did five, and well,
Okay.
we know how five turned out.
It's always amazes me how unlike other TV shows, I like how the Star Trek actors get involved in the making of the
Yes.
movies or the script. Because like Next Gen and then even Deep Space Nine, like all the actors talk about how they got to produce, they got to direct, they got to write, and
Right.
it's I find that very amazing that that's allowed for them.
I, I love I love that, and I love that more so because we see how much of a family sort of
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere that
Yeah.
fostered. I mean, with LeVar, we started off with him, how he's
Mm-hmm.
directed so many episodes of Trek. Riker, Frakes has directed. I feel like did he direct Insurrection?
I forget which one it is, but one of
But I know
those.
he did one of them.
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
might have did Insurrection. He didn't do Nemesis, so it must have been Insurrection. Um, he did Insurrection. I'm putting my money down on that one without looking it up. Um, you know, uh, who else? There's so many others who have directed and gone behind
Yeah.
the chair, and there's such a synergy there, and you
Mm-hmm.
hear them talk about others from different casts, and
Yeah.
it's such a cool sort of family. I put it like
Mm-hmm.
this. It's not quite the same, but you're a certain age. Power Rangers. One of the things I see as far as like all
Mm-hmm.
the different casts of Power Rangers, they're like one big family
Yeah.
of Rangers in the
Yep.
whole sort of Power Rangers range of them. And I equate it to Star Trek because I don't see other franchises really doing that like Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
does outside of Power Rangers, where regardless of what series you're on, like you're a
Yeah.
member of the family. We treat you like part of the family. Oh, we're gonna try to get you in this show. We're gonna
Yeah.
It is so beautiful to see these actors really embracing these roles. And also it is Star Trek, and Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
has had such a long history of groundbreaking moments in television.
Yeah.
And it's one that we're talking today because of our love of Star Trek, and it's brought so many
Mm-hmm.
people together. It's just a
Yes.
beautiful thing.
Absolutely. There's so many
So
communities built around love of Star Trek. Like we have on
yes,
TikTok, we have Trek Talk. Like a
right,
whole, I don't know how many people are on it, but there's like a whole bunch of people that just do Star Trek content day in and day out, and it's so much fun. And as someone, I don't know, like growing up, I don't know if you had Star Trek friends, but I definitely didn't. And this is like the one thing that I feel like I was always missing in life. I didn't have anyone to talk about Star Trek with, and to find this
understood.
community, like it's amazing.
Yeah, I actually, I guess it was beneficial, especially in high school, because I ended up going
Mhm.
to a Catholic all boys
Okay.
school.
Okay.
So even some of my teachers were involved. I remember Mr.
Oh
Bartlinski, like when
wow.
Voyager came out, He didn't get a
Uh-huh.
chance to watch it, so I had taped it. So I lent him
Oh.
my VHS copy
Oh
of the Voyager
wow.
premiere. So
Uh-huh.
we I had those sort of friends there, but even my freshman year roommate in college, he
Uh-huh.
was a huge Trekkie, so we had this big poster
Wow.
of the Delta
Yeah.
Quadrant. I mean, of the Alpha Quadrant and all the quadrants in our room and
Uh-huh.
everything. And it was cool. Even my friends in high school, like we were
Mm-hmm.
all, I wouldn't say they were all sci-fi or Trek people, but we all went to sci-fi. So like
Wow.
First Contact came out, Generations came out, any sort of
Uh-huh.
sci-fi movie we all went to see. So I was lucky to have a pretty good group to kind of just vibe and talk with about this. But again, my
Yeah. Oh
mom
yeah.
is the
Uh-huh.
nerd, the sci-fi nerd, and she loved her some Mr. Spock, she'll say.
Oh, I love that. Well, so Mr. Spock was quite the what's the word for it? Like people loved him back then. He
Yes.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like cover model? Like I don't know. I don't think that's the
Yes.
exact word, but yeah, I heard like Leonard Nimoy was a it boy back then.
Yeah. It was great. I know. So how did you get involved with the Sci-Fi Queens podcast?
So Nita, who's another Star Trek creator on Trek Talk, was just like, "Hey, I'm doing this show. Do you want to join?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah!" Like, I love her. She's one of my like closest friends on Trek Talk. So we just thought it would be fun. And she told me this is a podcast where we're gonna be talking about different women in sci-fi shows because
Mhm.
I don't think that gets talked about enough. And I was like, I absolutely love that idea. So let's do it. And then another thing we do on the show is talk about real women of science because that's also something like how many women scientists can you talk like name off the top of your head, right?
Right.
And so we're like, let's do that. And so that's kind of how I got involved.
Well, I think that's up. I haven't caught many, but I think I caught some of
Hmm.
the episode the other day with the when you guys were talking about power. Was it the
Hmm.
power or power?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
power. Yes. And I just that the premise of that show scares me.
Yeah.
Well, look, I have a friend.
Hmm.
His little girl is now a teenager, and I just
Uh
hear the
huh.
horror stories, and I hear what's coming in
Yeah.
my life, and I'm like, yeah. We I think we reacted to over from. I
Uh huh.
also do other stuff, but Nerds Rule the World. I think we
Hmm.
reacted to that trailer, and we both were like, yeah, no, we don't want to because we would both be dead. One
Oh
bad day is like,
no.
look, he has a teenager, so
Uh huh.
the look he's like the looks I get. What happened to my little girl? Yeah, he would be dead. He would be dead.
Well, that's just how all teenagers are, right? Eventually they come around. Like, I think
Yes,
I was
but
like
that
24, 25 when I started liking my parents again. Like, I've always loved them, but it's just, you gotta go into adulthood to really connect with them
but they
again.
don't have powers to generate electricity though.
True.
That's the scary part of it.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I'm always looking for other
Yeah.
podcasts to listen to. Now, with Trek, like what other sci-fi are you into outside of Trek, if any?
I'm a huge Stargate fan. That's my second love. I absolutely love Stargate, and there've been talks about them bringing it back, which I hope they do, because I absolutely love it. The other thing was I was watching Battlestar a couple months ago. I kind of dropped
Yes, I
off, but I
remember
need to
that.
get
Yeah.
back into Battlestar.
Yes.
And you had encouraged me to watch Battlestar too.
Battlestar
Yeah.
is Battlestar is another one where, especially as it went on, like the twists and turns,
Hmm.
it was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, what happened? Who?
Yeah.
What? And especially because I started watching Battlestar, at least the remake,
Hmm.
when it was just the miniseries before it got picked up
Oh, okay. Yeah.
as a series. So from watching it from there to where it ended, I'm like, I never ever would have seen that coming. It is
Hmm.
such a great piece of science fiction television. And of course, Ronald D. Moore. So we know him
Yeah.
from Deep
Yes.
Space Nine.
Oh
So
my
that
God.
was to be expected. I will say this though, another one in if you have Babylon 5 is a
Oh yeah,
very
I've
good
heard
show.
good things. Yeah.
Um, that is I'm always like, what stream? It's on Tubi, so it's free,
Hmm.
all five
Oh wow.
seasons.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I was looking up stuff the other day when I was on Tubi to find Tubi has a lot of great things that people
Yeah.
don't even realize, but
Okay.
that's on Tubi, so that's a good one, but that's a lot. And I reason I looked it up because they are doing an animated movie. J.
Hmm.
Michael Straczynski, who created it, he's doing an a movie for
Okay.
Max, HBO Max, whatever the heck they call it now, with many of the surviving cast members, and that's coming out sometime in the near future. So, I think that that's if you're talking about that sort of pure
Hmm.
sci-fi, especially in that sort of Star Trek vein and good character development, I think that's one you would definitely enjoy watching. Once you,
Okay.
especially if you like Battlestar, you'll
Uh-huh.
definitely like
Okay.
Babylon 5, because that's just one of
Yeah.
those series that Babylon 5 ran so Battlestar could walk,
Oh wow. Okay.
in
Good
my
to know.
opinion. Yeah.
Okay. We'll add that to my list, my ever-growing list.
Yeah. It, I tell like some people like gaming, there's always a backlog.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
always a
yeah.
backlog of shows. Like there's so many shows. Like I want to watch The Expanse, just haven't gotten around to
Oh
it.
yeah.
I've heard that's a really good show. There are a couple other ones I know like on Netflix that I have saved. I just haven't got back. And also for me, I have been slowly but surely rewatching Deep Space Nine,
Oh
because
yeah.
partially, so this is my problem with Deep Space Nine. So well, really, Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I left
Uh-huh.
for college the fall of '96.
Okay.
So where I went to school, they showed they didn't show Deep Space Nine, but they showed Voyager. But they showed Voyager on like Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Oh
I'm a
god.
college student. I
Yeah.
am not in my dorm room on a Saturday at
Right.
1 o'clock. So
Oh
I missed out
no.
on a lot of Voyager
Oh
being in
no.
school.
Yeah.
So I've caught it back and forth. And even Deep Space Nine,
Yeah.
that was the last season. So I caught a lot of the last few episodes of that seventh season when
Hmm.
I came home and I saw the finale. But a lot of like
Yeah.
that middle chunk of season seven, like I missed out on. And I'm like, I don't, I know how it ended. I
Hmm.
know everything that happened. Like I'm watching everything from the beginning. So I think
Yeah.
the last time stopped in on DS9, I think I was in season five.
Okay.
And then after that, this was my plan. My goal was I finished Deep Space Nine,
Yeah.
I go through Voyager, then I finally give Enterprise a chance.
Okay.
That was my plan.
Okay.
It's been several years now. I'll get to Enterprise eventually, because one of the things this is one of the things about Star Trek, and this comes from my change your heart about Doctor Who.
Uh-huh.
Because I love Doctor Who, but for so many years, like it was the fourth Doctor or nobody. But then they brought out the new seasons, with
Jodie
Echelon, and I've
Whittaker
been watching
or
ever
okay.
since. Well,
Uh-huh.
yeah, even up to
Oh,
Jodie
you're
Whittaker.
talking
So
about
watch out.
original.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking about original, like
Okay, okay.
BBC
Yeah, yeah.
rubber puppets.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I because they showed it on public television when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
So I fell in love with it then. And
Hmm.
then when they brought out the new series, I loved it. But the new series helped me go back and look at the first Doctor, the second Doctor, the
Yeah.
third Doctor, the fifth. Like it gave me an appreciation for all of them. So I
Hmm.
love every Doctor now. The fourth Doctor is still my favorite, but I go
Okay.
back and I watch and I enjoy and I take in the story. So I'm doing the same thing with Star Trek. I'm going back and I'm absorbing all of this Trek. And then
Yeah.
that way, when I go to Enterprise, I can look at it in a new perspective, because when it came out, I'm like, why are they doing a prequel? Whose bright idea was to do a prequel
Yeah.
before? Like that was just the dumbest.
Yeah.
I have this big thing about prequels personally.
Yeah.
Most of like 99% of the time, prequels suck in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you have something like A Strange New Worlds,
Yeah.
but most of
But
the time they suck.
Enterprise is what, like 100 years before Kirk's adventures? Is that the
Yes,
gosh, I was
yes,
like, maybe they can bring it back for in Strange New Worlds, but they can't. That show's just like off in the corner by itself. There's
right.
no way we can bring any of those characters back. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. And
Yeah.
but I want to watch it because okay, at
Yeah.
this point in my Trekdom, I'm at a point where I can sit and actually watch it for what it
Yeah.
is or what it was,
Yeah.
instead of comparing it
Yeah.
to everything else that I love. Like I can take it
Right.
for what it is, especially with the multitude and diversity of Star Trek that we have
Hmm.
now, while you still have those connecting sort of tissues of
Yeah.
what Roddenberry envisioned.
Yeah. And now honestly, I need to rewatch Enterprise as well because that's one that I've like kind of seen here and there, and I've never actually
Mhm.
done a full watch through, and so like I don't think I have the full appreciation for it either. So maybe you and I can do it together. We just need to
Sounds good.
sit down and
So
rewatch Enterprise. And you also could probably skip the first three seasons of Voyages because those are three very rough seasons.
yeah, that I saw
I love
somewhat as
Voyager.
really the later
Mhm.
seasons of Voyager. Um,
Oh, you didn't
and
like the later
even
seasons?
no, it's as far as not
Oh,
being able to really see
I
them.
see.
Like I caught some of the reruns of the first,
Mhm.
no, first three seasons. I was sophomore year. I was still in school, so I saw those.
Okay.
It's the latter
Yeah.
seasons of Voyager
Oh,
that I missed, and then even same thing with Enterprise. Since because I stayed there for grad school, so it still wasn't that like they
yeah.
didn't show it at a optimum. Like I am not watching TV at 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon on a Saturday, or
Yeah.
it was the worst times for someone who's
Yeah.
in college to watch
Right.
television. Like show it
That's
to me at 3 in the morning, then I watch
yeah.
it. But 1 o'clock on a
How weird.
Saturday, I'm
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Right.
So we should do that. Enterprise, watch it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be
I
awesome.
think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think a lot of people need to rewatch Enterprise because there's still a lot of hate for it. Do you remember like a couple years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, there was a lot of hate for DS9. And then like
Yes.
people have watched it in the past 10 years and they've started to love it. And now I would say DS9 is like the top for almost a lot of people, not everybody, but people are really loving and appreciating it. And I think we're gonna go through the same cycle for Enterprise. At least I hope that we do, because I'm pretty sure Enterprise is a good show. We just need to all
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
rewatch, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Deep Space, not Deep Space. Next Gen is my favorite,
Yeah.
but Deep Space Nine is the best.
Yes. Oh my
It's
god.
it. Okay, let me back up for a second. So I love D Space Nine from the start
Uh-huh.
because
Okay.
when I heard they cast Avery Brooks,
Oh yeah.
now
Uh-huh.
Avery Brooks was at least at that time, I grew up I grew up in the 80s, so I knew him from Spencer for Hire and then
Okay.
his spin-off show called A Man Called Hawk. So it's like, okay,
Okay.
and so anybody with name Hawk, just for I'll tell you offline,
Yeah.
I will explain why I gravitate toward that person.
Uh-huh.
Um, but when I heard that, I'm like, wait a minute, as a black captain?
Yeah.
What? Really? And then it's Avery Brooks. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sold. And you can imagine
Yeah.
how excited my mom was
Yeah.
at that point in time. Uh, so I was hooked from then. And then when we got that first episode, Emissary,
Yeah.
this is what you call acting here.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
just the emotion. And we saw some of that with Picard, but just we had never really seen emotional fallout from Wolf
Yeah.
uh
Exactly.
5-9. We'd never seen it. And to see that so in your face in
Mm-hmm.
the way that we did, and like that was just a beautiful start to the series.
Yeah.
And we didn't know it there, but just Cisco's journey throughout, but just
Mm-hmm.
the characters, like it was such a great show with the
It was.
twists and turns, the religious politics that were part
Mm-hmm.
of the show with with Kai and
Yeah.
the prophets. It was so different, but it was so much more current with the real world because of the
Mm-hmm.
themes and topics that they
Yeah.
talked about.
And has it been 25 years? I think even 25 years later, it's so relevant. That show is still
Yes.
so relevant. I was rewatching it during the pandemic and I was like, this is getting too real. I don't know. I don't know if I should be watching this show right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's why it resonates so much now because it's
Mhm.
it's so realistic even
Yeah.
today, 20, almost, is it 30 years? I think
Is
it
it 30
debuted in
years?
92.
Yeah. I'm not sure
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know what
yeah,
they just
7 years,
celebrated. But
92 to, or maybe 91. Because it was 7 years and it ended
uh-huh.
in 2000, no, excuse me, 1997, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's like 90 and
Yeah.
91 is when it started.
Hmm. It's almost 30. So 30.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. It's
crazy.
it's
That's
it's
so
amazing.
crazy.
But that tells you, that just shows you how good of a
Yeah.
show it is when you can go
Yeah.
back 30 years later and so many things are still relevant today. I don't
So
know if that's a good
relevant.
thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. I
you know,
think it might be a bad thing. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's very scary. I look at them like it's very scary, but yeah.
right, exactly. So what's next? Are you guys like what's on the next episode of Sci-Fi Queens? What's coming up
We're gonna be
next?
covering Doctor Who. That's another big property that I absolutely love, and I forgot to mention. But
Nice.
yeah, we're gonna be talking about Donna specifically because come on, she's one of the best I think sidekicks.
Okay. I didn't realize it's not one anniversary special. There are three.
What do you mean? There's three. There,
The
there.
the
Uh
the
huh.
specials that are there are three
Yeah.
specials. I thought it was just
What?
one.
Oh
Yes,
my god.
the new promo. There are
Uh huh.
three. There are three
Holy
specials.
cow.
Right.
Okay. Okay, I gotta I gotta hop back in because like I so after Matt Smith's doctor, like I
Mhm.
watched Peter Capaldi, like the first two seasons of his show was really rough, and they finally got it
Yeah.
together in the third season, but
Yes.
then he quit, and I was like, oh
Right.
gosh, I'm so frustrated. And then I love Jodie, but like Picard started, or not Picard, was I think it was Picard or Discovery. One of them started
Hmm.
right in the middle of her run, and I was like, bye, Doctor Who, Star Trek is back. So I need to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I we watched it religiously. I
Mhm.
Jodie wasn't horrible.
No, she
She
wasn't at
just
all.
she just
Yeah.
had bad. We go back to the writing. The writing was
Yeah.
bad, and the sad thing about it for me, I think like that last season, Flux was probably
Uh-huh.
her best season from a story
Okay.
perspective. It was still a bit convoluted, but it was exciting. I wanted to know what happened next. Some
Mhm.
things still don't make sense, but I thought it was very well done overall,
Okay.
especially compared to in totality some of her previous seasons. But I like Jodie. Jodie's one I feel like she just needed a better showrunner to really
Okay.
excel as the doctor. I
Yeah.
don't think she really got a chance. Um, I loved Capaldi again. Started off rough,
Yeah.
real rough. For me, after Clara left, it got better. I felt
Yeah.
like that
Yo, yeah.
she as a companion ran her course and everything became so centered on her. And
Yep.
especially in his second season,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, she needs to go. I'm not
Yeah.
feeling. And then it bit in Bill Potts, and I like that whole
Oh
dynamic,
my God.
and even how she ended was sad, but still, it was.
Yeah.
I like that, and especially in Missy and how that played out, and
Hmm.
it was very enjoyable. It was
Yeah.
very very good Doctor Who.
I wish they had
I'm
carried her storyline into Jodie Whittaker's because I think that would have made the transition a lot easier. But we just got
Yes,
it was like such an abrupt ending, and then we got Jodie, and then everything new, and you're just like, okay, like where am I right now?
right, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I have my issues with Jodie's run. I put
Yeah.
it that way. I think it was too bloated and not enough
Yeah.
story. I loved all the companions. Didn't need all the companions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
um, especially to go as long as they did. And when you
Yeah.
have four people to try to build as far as their characters,
Hmm.
somebody's losing, and unfortunately, the doctor's the one that lost a lot of time as far as
Yeah.
that character arc and that character building.
Yeah.
So when they slimmed down the cast a little bit, and even when they brought in Dan toward the end, I liked the dynamic he brought into it, especially
Hmm.
him and Yaz with Jodie's doctor.
Oh yeah.
But it's I look back at all Doctor Who's and I just say it's Doctor Who, so I still enjoy it. It's just
Yeah.
some are better than others.
Yeah. Christopher Eccleston was my favorite doctor. Like he just I loved him. And Russell T Davis is back for the new season,
Yes,
right? Thank God. Oh, I'm so
yes,
excited to see what he
yes.
has.
Exactly,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh. It's
And
gonna
I
be so
forget
good.
the new doctor. I forget his name. I'm really looking forward to see what he does.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like I looked at some of the stuff after he was announced, but especially with Russell T Davies, I just feel very excited. And then with this
Me
bridge
too.
with this is one of the things I like about this. And I've seen people complain about Tennant coming back. I'm like, okay, did you not watch how Jodie's run ended?
Yeah.
With the whole different doctors and like
Uh-huh.
it makes perfect sense for a tenant doctor to come
Yeah.
back with the way that worked. I'm like
And
this makes sense. And there's a lot of story there based on what was already established at the end of Jody's run.
mhm. Is he back just for those 3 episodes, or are we getting a
Yeah,
whole
he's a
season?
transition.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because
Excuse me.
the
What I understand, he's
uh-huh.
a transition.
Okay.
Things change, but I
Right.
know the
Right.
other
Right. Right.
guy is the new 14, 15, whatever doctor he's going to
Yeah.
be. Should we even
Those
keep counting
numbers.
anymore?
Yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, because the previous anniversary, we also had like 3 doctors. So like, come
Yeah,
on, like get it together, people. Like, why are people
exactly.
surprised?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes sense in the way the story ended. So I'm like, why are you
Oh yeah.
complaining? That does it why are you complaining? We're getting more Doctor Who.
I know.
It could be 87 again when they cancel it and then give us that Fox movie, which I still have on VHS tape in my garage somewhere, I think.
Oh, that weird like standalone doctor. That one is that the one
Yes.
you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with Paul McGann.
Yes.
That's when I wish had gotten more time as a doctor.
Uh-huh.
Even that short he did the night of the doctor for the 50th anniversary.
Okay.
Like I know he's done a lot of radio plays for Big Finish, which really
Oh,
fleshed
has
out
he?
his
Okay.
time, and that's one of the things I haven't gotten into. I haven't gotten into the radio plays, but I know
Hmm.
he's been quite prolific with really fleshing out his doctor in the radio
Hmm.
plays over the past few decades. But I wish we'd have gotten more of him. I'm trying to think. We didn't get anything in the finale with Jodie, even though we got, which I love all these other doctors and all these other companions, and we got this closure in many respects. I
Yeah.
love seeing Ace back with Sylvester McCoy. It's I think of the older doctors, I think the eighth doctor is probably is it the eighth doctor? Anyway,
Yep.
Sylvester McCoy's doctor is probably my
Uh-huh.
second favorite, or
Okay.
actually third favorite. I still got the second doctor, the second best, but uh, there was something about the 80s and then Ace as
Hmm.
his companion. And Ace was just, that might be something you guys look at. Just Ace as a companion
Hmm.
and a female in sci-fi. She was so different and just groundbreaking for a companion back
Okay.
then, using
Yeah.
explosive and being a sort of a epitome of sort of an 80s punk rebel then.
Yeah.
Didn't really take nothing from nobody,
Hmm.
would beat a Dalek up with an aluminum bat, plant some dynamite. Like she was not a
Yeah.
traditional
No,
companion.
she wasn't. I mean, all of the Doctor's companions, they write the companions really well. I love all the
Yes.
Doctor's companions. They do that really good.
Yeah, they do. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to what they do with Donna. I'm
Yeah, me
really
too.
waiting to see how they explain this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we're going to end it there because I know we both got to get to dinner by
Yes,
this
we do.
time. But tell everybody where they can find you.
So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, and my handle is at that girl Avon. Avon is spelled Ayvan. And yeah, just find me there and you'll probably be hooked up to all my other socials and you know how that works.
No. Navya, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I know we'll be talking offline. You
Yes.
guys take care. All her links in the show notes.
Thank
Peace.
you.